Greetings and welcome to another edition of The Great Goddess. Praise be to Goddess. Praise be to Goddess. Well, it's almost Wednesday, and Wednesday is officially the beginning of Purification for 2021. Yes, I know it's March and usually it starts in February, but the full moon was particularly late this year, so I had to start in March. So Wednesday is the official start date. Tomorrow is the official start date for Purification. And the rules of Purification have changed for this year, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about that later. But first, I want to get to the main topic of my Purification sermon for this year, for 2021. So this is the year of Maleficent. I've chosen genital mutilation as my topic for the sermon for Purification this year. And this is a very serious subject. It's a very grave subject. Obviously fits in with Maleficent well. What could be the worst possible thing you can imagine doing to a human being short of killing them? Mutilating their genitals, right? The worst possible thing you could do to a human being is mutilate their genitals and have them live for the rest of their lives with mutilated genitals. What worse thing? I mean, even cutting off somebody's arm isn't as bad as mutilating their genitals. That's the worst. So, mutilated genitals. I thought that I had been genitally mutilated. I very strongly suspected it. I went to a doctor. I got checked out. And according to the doctor, my genitals are normal. I don't know whether to trust the doctor or not. Can't always trust doctors. Doctors cannot always be trusted. Okay, doctors have been known to lie before. But I decided to give this doctor the benefit of the doubt, even though he was very bad to me. I'll get to that in a second. He said that he saw normal skin, normal healthy skin, and that that the other parts were normal. That he saw no signs of genital mutilation. Now, while I was in the stirrups, like you have to put your legs up in stirrups. My leg always goes into a spasm, always. It's just an unnatural position for my leg to be in. It doesn't work well for me. Does not work well for me. My leg went into a spasm. I was in lots of pain. And my leg jerked around. And finally my leg flopped to one side because I couldn't hold it in that position. Couldn't hold my leg in that position. It just flopped to one side and I was in so much pain. Just pain. No other sensations, no other feelings. Just pain. And after the exam, the doctor had this look on his face of total disgust. Just total disgust. He was totally disgusted by me. He was repulsed. He was sickened. And he said good luck to me and left the room as fast as he could without answering any of my questions. I didn't even have time to think of questions. He didn't even ask me if I had any questions. He just left. Said good luck and left. I suspect very strongly that the doctor thought I had had an orgasm and that I was sexually attracted to him and wanted a handsome doctor to examine me. No, I am not attracted to you at all. In fact, absolutely repulsed. And being examined by him was not comfortable at all, and it wasn't very sexy at all. I wasn't aroused or turned on. I just submitted to it. And those of you who know me know that I'm a lesbian and I don't prefer men. And the only reason I chose a man, which was a mistake, it was a total mistake to pick a man. But the only reason I picked a man was because I thought if there were genital mutilation and I had to go to a court of law, a man would be more believable. A man would be more believable, a man would be more plausible, and a man could really go to bat for me. My mom said later to me, well, you scared him. You scared him with your story about your father asking me to cut it off. That scared him, and he didn't want to have to testify on your behalf. And from that, I thought that my mom was implying, she was implying very strongly that the doctor had lied. She denied that she had implied or even suggested that the doctor had lied over 24 times after that. But it sure seems as if the only way that the doctor could avoid testifying on my behalf if I had been genitally mutilated was to lie about me being genitally mutilated. So depends on who you trust, my mom or the doctor, and she doesn't think he lied either. She didn't think he lied. She just was being paranoid and trying to make me paranoid as well. She is getting paranoid. My mom forgot her age the other day. She woke me at 4:40 a.m. saying she was going to pour water over an LED candle. She's been driving me nuts. She's been driving me absolutely nuts. She reintroduced me to a childhood friend that wasn't a friend at all. She was an enemy. She was a childhood enemy. When my mom thought she was a friend, she was throwing pictures of this person and her partner up. About 15 photographs, a couple of emails, and several links, and all about this childhood enemy of mine, who is now a professor. And she was saying, oh, look how happy she is. Look how happy she and her partner are. I don't care. I don't care about my childhood enemy. She was so vicious and so bad to me and so cruel. And I may have been only 8 years old at the time, but it was pretty intense cruelty. Wasn't as bad as the school I had come from. And in that school, they were holding me down on the playground, holding me down on the ground and making me answer questions. And they may have even pulled down my pants at one point, see my private parts. They were holding me down on the playground and torturing me. And complained to the teacher. Whole 3rd grade class laughed at me along with the teacher. So moved to a private school instead, and that's when I encountered this. At the private school, I encountered this childhood enemy. So I don't want to remember her. It was a terrible time in my life, and I don't want to remember her, and I don't want to see her. I was depressed for days afterwards. So my mom did that to me. My mom implied the doctor had lied, even though she denied it. She was trying to make me paranoid. And Mom threatened to pour water over a candle. Mom yells when she doesn't feel like going to the refrigerator for carrots, and she wants me to go get the carrots. She can't walk 5 feet to the refrigerator. Mom's been driving me nuts. So I may move out pretty soon. I've been living with my mom for a while now. Just for a little while. And think it's time for me to move out. I have to move. So I'm going to move out pretty soon. So it'll be soon. It'll be really soon that I'll move out. But just been going through such a hard time. Such a hard time at school. History class. History professor. She you can tell she's a communist sympathizer. She's a communist sympathizer, and she's a socialist at the very least, because she brags about socialism constantly throwing socialism up in our face. It's the solution to all of America's problems is socialism, right? And promoting collectivism, constantly promoting socialism. You can tell she's a communist. She is a communist. And that's America as we know it today. Our history teachers and our history professors are teaching our students, American students, teaching them anti-American, totally anti-American. For example, just today I was reading about the Lusitania. This was not from our so-called textbook, which is really an online book, and it's a free book. This was the professor's own words, that it may not have been Germany's fault, may not have been Germany's fault that they sunk the Lusitania at the beginning of World War I. It might not have been their fault because they were shipping munitions along with the 1,158 passengers who died in the sinking of the Lusitania. So it wasn't their fault that they sent a missile into the Lusitania and killed 1,158 passengers that were civilians, because there were munitions and they just couldn't help it. They had to sink it. They just couldn't help it. They had to sink that ship because there were munitions. And it was a war, baby. It was a war. So they just couldn't help it. They had no choice in the matter. Definitely anti-American. She would even take Hitler's side against America. Just because he's anti-American. Just because Hitler was anti-American. And also he was a socialist. Gotta love socialists, right? So I think she would I really do believe she would take Hitler's side against America. I'm just waiting for it. Just waiting for her to play devil's advocate and take Hitler's side. That'll be next. Or maybe she just won't make so bold to take Hitler's side. Who knows? Who knows? America was trying to help their allies in Europe. They were trying to help Great Britain, who ironically had been at war with America, but America made peace with Great Britain. Was trying to help Great Britain, trying to help France, our allies in France, that gave us the Statue of Liberty, our friends, the French. They were trying to help them against the aggressors, and Germany was the aggressor. Oh, I guess poor little Germany couldn't help being an aggressor either, right? And poor little Germany just couldn't help being an aggressor. They just had to. They had to invade France and Great Britain. They had to attack. And then of course, because they were attacking, they just couldn't help sinking the Lusitania. So it was all America's fault for putting munitions in with passengers. It was America's fault. It was all your fault, America. Because we're anti-American. We hate America. Where does this professor get her hatred of America from? America's given her everything. It's given her a professorship. It's made her a beautiful woman. She's got it all. She makes over, I looked up her income, she makes over $175,000 a year. So she's probably a millionaire by now. And she's anti-American. She teaches socialism and collectivism, which are against the American way, to our students every day. Every day. It's stressing me out. I'm under so much stress. And I was under so much stress. I don't know if you can tell. I am beginning to go gray. It's true, folks. I'm going gray. It's just too much stress. It's too much stress for me to handle, and I'm going gray. And also my hair is thinning. Can't tell. I don't know if you can tell, but my hair is thinning and it's going gray. People are putting me in my grave. They're putting me in my grave. They're killing me so fast, so young. But anyway, on to the subject of genital mutilation. So I thought that I had been genitally mutilated. Apparently not, although I'm not sure about the labia minora. I'm not sure about that because it does seem rather short and rather small. And I suspect it could have been trimmed back and that the evidence of that would be gone, that there wouldn't really be any scar tissue left just along a leading edge. Because it's such a thin thing. So thin. It's like skin. You wouldn't really see the scar if it were along the leading edge, would you? But it is possible that it was trimmed back. But apparently the clitoris is intact. According to the doctor, if I can trust the doctor. But he said he saw healthy skin, so even though he was totally disgusted by me and hated me, maybe he was telling the truth. I don't know. I don't know whether to trust him or not. But anyway, and ironically enough, his middle name was the same as one of my abuser's names. So, just so you know that. Little known fact. Should have taken that as a warning, maybe from Goddess, not to trust him. But as far as genital mutilation goes, this happens in countries like the Middle East, happens in continents like Africa, and also it happens in the Middle East. Middle East and Africa, this is common custom. It's not in the Quran, but it is Muslims who do it. It's mostly Muslims who do it, but it's not in the Quran, so no one commanded them. God didn't command them to cut up a woman's genitalia. In fact, based upon the way a woman's genitalia is, would strongly suggest that any higher power, whoever they may be, including Allah, would have intended for a woman to not only have all this equipment that was given to them by birth, and to keep all that equipment that was given to them by birth, but also to feel great pleasure during intercourse, feel certain things, was intended to feel great pleasure. And then that's all robbed from them. That's all stolen from them by genital mutilation. Obviously, what nature gave us should be what nature intended and what the higher power intended, right? What God intended. But apparently some people don't feel that way. Because they make the man into a little god. The man is a little god, and everything should be geared toward his pleasure, his desires, his best interests, not the woman's. So because they've made man into a little god of his own, he's a little god, the women are only there to serve him, and the women are only a helpmeet, an helpmeet. Not a helpmeet, an helpmeet. And, because H used to be considered a vowel. An helpmeet. And also, woman was only there to be a servant of man. And to be a slave of man. She wasn't intended to feel any pleasure with her husband or any other man. So to prevent her from cheating, just take away her sexual pleasure, right? Then she won't be tempted to cheat. She won't even want to cheat. Because why would she want to cheat if she feels no sexual pleasure at all? She would never be tempted. Or would she? What they do, you should know what they do. It's really, they call it female circumcision. That's what they like to call it. It's a euphemism. Female circumcision. But it's not really circumcision at all. Should really be called female castration, because that's what it really is female castration. Some of you men are going to say, my little piece of skin, my foreskin, is just as important as all of a woman's equipment, all of it. And you should be just as outraged and just as angry about the removal of my foreskin as you are of all of a woman's sexual organs being stripped away. No. Sorry guys. No. Your foreskin, while I certainly support your right to keep your foreskin, and would generally oppose any sort of circumcision, which I would oppose, male circumcision. Your foreskin is not the same as a woman's sexual organ. Sorry, it just isn't, and it's not equivalent. A little piece of skin on the tip of a man's penis is not equivalent to a woman's clitoris, her hood, her labia majora, her labia minora, her vulva, all of it. It's not equivalent to all of that. So female circumcision is not female circumcision, it's female castration. That's what it is. It's castration. Even if she's still able to get pregnant and have kids, it's castration. What is a clitoris? Clitoris is equivalent to a man's penis. It's like cutting the whole thing off. That's what it's like. They remove the woman's clitoris. They remove her hood. They remove part of her labia majora. They remove her labia minora. They sew up her vulva. They sew it up. And then they leave a tiny little hole at the very bottom. A tiny hole. They sew her up. They leave a tiny hole for pee and blood to come out of. As a woman menstruates every month, she has blood. This little tiny hole. A woman can get an infection very easily and die. They use very crude tools that haven't been disinfected. They don't care. They don't care if a woman lives or dies. She only lives or dies for the pleasure of the man. They don't want her to cheat on her man. Man can have as many partners as he wants to. Man can go to a prostitute. Man can go anywhere he wants. But a woman must stay faithful to her man. Everything is for a man. Man is a little god. He's a little god, and he has to be served like a god. Because the god of the man is the god of the woman. That's the truth. They're not equal before their creator. The man is a little god. They hate women. Let's face it, anyone who sews up a woman's vulva hates a woman. And strips away all her sex organs. That's hate. Stripping away a woman's organs, that's hate. Even if the person who's doing it doesn't personally hate women, thinks it's for her in her best interest, thinks she's doing a good thing and it's all wholesome. It's not wholesome. It's sick. It's disgusting. It's sickening. It's so sickening. It's gross. And it's sick. And it's disgusting. Leave a woman's sexual organs alone. Just don't mess with it. Just don't mess with it. Don't mess with a woman's sex organs. All of this genital mutilation, sickening. All of it. But especially female circumcision, which is female castration. That's the sickest. Just leave a woman's sex organs alone. That's all I have to say about genital mutilation. It's true, my father did ask my mother to cut it off, which made me very suspicious that he may have genitally mutilated me as a baby. I have no sensation in my clitoris at all. None. At least not on the surface or just touching it. And it's supposed to be very, very sensitive. And I've never had any sensation my whole life. So I either had diabetes very young and lost sensation at a very early age, which I suppose is possible, but it just seems so outlandish and unlikely. Or I was genitally mutilated and then the doctor just lied about it. Or there's some other reason. Like maybe it's all up here. Maybe I've been programmed to not like my nerves literally trained to not feel any sensation at all. I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know why. That's not to say I can't feel sexual pleasure, because I can, but not through direct stimulation. So it may be diabetes. I don't know. Or it could have been the fact that I was abused. I don't know. It's a tough topic. It's hard for me to have to discuss. But if it can help other women, I'm willing to discuss it. It's just something to think about. Women have gone through so much because of men. They've gone through so much hell. It's time. Isn't it time? Isn't it the time way overdue for the pendulum to swing the other way? For men to get their just desserts for the way they've treated women. And it's obviously, to me, the ultimate rebellion against Goddess. It's the ultimate rebellion against her, and going against her as strongly as you possibly can to mutilate a woman's genitals. It's the ultimate sin. It's the ultimate rebellion. It's the ultimate hatred of the divine feminine and of woman that embodies the divine feminine. It's the ultimate rebellion against Goddess. It's the ultimate repudiation and ignorance of her, and refusing to acknowledge her. Just a refusal to acknowledge her in any way, shape, or form. It's a total repudiation. Takes back everything that Goddess is, and everything she does, and everything she represents. It's total hatred. It's a total hatred and total rebellion. So these spirits that choose to be born into these societies, they choose to be born into these societies that mutilate women's genitals because they can hardly wait to mutilate a woman's genitals. They hate Goddess. They hate Goddess on a very basic level. They're corrupt. They're spiritually corrupt. Their spirits are corrupt. They choose to be born into this channel. They choose this birth channel. It's their way of thumbing their nose at Goddess, saying, "We don't like you, Goddess. We don't worship you. We refuse to acknowledge you. We refuse to believe in you. And now we're going to do the ultimate. We're going to mutilate a woman's genitals, just like we would like to do to you." And, of course, you have to consider the fact that Goddess allowed this to happen. She allowed all of this, and she allowed genitals to be capable of being mutilated. She made genitals vulnerable, and she gave people the ability to think of mutilating genitals. So she created this evil. She created this great evil of genital mutilation. Why would she do this? Well, it has something to do with Maleficent. It's obviously Maleficent's doing. The ultimate negativity, the ultimate form of negativity is the mutilation of a woman's genitals. It's the farthest you can go along the path of hatred of the divine feminine and repudiation of the divine feminine. So, just something to consider, something to think about. Do everything you can. Maybe give to some charities that are combating genital mutilation and help the survivors of genital mutilation, and also prevent new girls and boys from being genitally mutilated. They still keep slaves in certain parts of Africa. I don't know if they keep slaves in the Middle East. They used to. But when they keep a slave, they want the boy slave to not rape any women, so they cut off certain things, certain parts. Like his testes. They remove the testes always, but sometimes they remove the penis as well. So, do what you can to fight genital mutilation. Do whatever it takes. Donate to some charities that fight genital mutilation and help women and girls and survivors. That's it as far as genital mutilation goes. Now, I want to get to the subject of purification now. Purification this year, I will allow you to eat meat. I will allow you to eat meat during purification. However, I don't want you eating meat during the day. Okay? You want to figure out when sunset is. And wait 15 minutes after sunset, and then you can have meat for dinner. If you're a regular vegan, just remain a vegan. If you're a vegetarian, remain a vegetarian. But you are allowed to have meat and dairy and eggs 15 minutes after sunset. The reason I'm changing these rules is because of this very severe allergy problem I had. Was actually resolved by eating meat. It's true. After I started eating meat again, a lot of my allergies went away. And I know that's a very unusual thing to have happen, and it's that my case is unusual. But apparently, the way Goddess made me was that I have to have meat. She made me a carnivore, an obligate carnivore. And if I don't get meat, my immune system goes haywire, and I could even die of allergy attacks. I become allergic to everything, even tap water. So because I'm an obligate carnivore, and because I have to have meat in order for my immune system to not go haywire and attack everything I eat, send me into anaphylactic shock. I had to go to the emergency room several times. That was after 3 years of being a vegan. You wouldn't have thought, but it took that long for my immune system to go completely haywire. And the isolation of coronavirus only made it worse. So, yeah, I'm going to allow you guys to eat meat, but only after sunset. Now, another thing that I want to do differently this year, because I'm allowing meat, I want to eliminate something else. And the thing I want to eliminate is grains. All grains. You say, but grains are so healthy. No, they're not. Grains are not healthy at all. Grains make you fat. They constipate you. And they have glyphosate, and they have crud in them that makes you sick, including gluten. All sorts of different forms of gluten. And you may say, well, brown rice doesn't have gluten. Yeah, but it's constipating. It forms a paste inside of you. You want to avoid that paste, because that paste is what makes you constipated. You don't want to be constipated. So, eliminating grains. Eliminating grains for purification. If you want to have grains at dinner time, you can, but I don't suggest it. I don't suggest having any grains at all, really, for the duration of purification. You can have beans. You can have beans, lentils, pulses, and that's a great source of carbohydrate. So if you're looking for carbohydrates, look no further than beans, lentils, and pulses. And that is a complete protein. You may not think so. But if you eat enough of it, it forms a complete protein, and the leftover amino acids are just used by your body for fuel. Or fat. But mostly fuel. So, just be sure you eat enough. Just increase, like, I don't know, 50% more than what the protein says on the label to be sure you're getting a complete protein and that you're getting enough. Can have bean soup during the day, lentil soup, bean soup, lentil soup, dal, pulses, soups, smoothies are allowed. And another thing I want to add this year that I haven't added before is roughage. I don't suggest you puree everything. Please don't. You want to have little substance, a little bit of chunks or something frilly like lettuce. You want or spinach or kale. You want something with some texture to it. Something that hasn't been ground up by a blade. So you can still have leaves in your smoothies. That's perfectly allowed, but I want you to have some salads. And no grains in your salads. Just the lettuce. And also that would also include pseudo grains, because pseudo grains can also be constipating because of their texture. Such as quinoa. But although quinoa can cause diarrhea, I really don't like quinoa. I don't suggest quinoa. But go ahead and have salads, lots of salads during the day. Add some salads. And they can be blended salads or they can be solid, but I want you to have some solid salads. Salads, smoothies, and soups with beans. Or without beans if you like. The meals during the day should be vegan. They should be vegan. And then you can have meat at night. If you want it. You don't have to have meat at all. So that's it. Changed the purification diet a little bit based upon things I've learned, knowledge I've acquired over the years. And realize that allowing any grains at all is really just a mistake. It's a bad idea. Because grains are so constipating, just having them once a day is enough. Block you up. And no pasta. Pasta is also made of grain, so no pastas either. No pasta, no rice, no grain. Sounds tough, doesn't it? It sounds like a tough diet, but it's only for 1 month. And it is so worth it. Because you purify your body. You purify your mind. When you purify your mind, you purify your spirit. It's a great form of purification, a great way to get closer to Goddess. And it may sound tough. It may sound like a rough road. But another thing... I'm going to allow it, but I don't recommend it. Thing that I don't recommend is cheese. Milk is fine, but not cheese. Because cheese is so constipating. Cheese is so constipating. I don't recommend cheese at all. You can have, I don't know, maybe a tablespoon of grated cheese sprinkled on something. But I wouldn't go overboard. I wouldn't go gung-ho. If you're tempted by cheese and tempted to add more and more, just don't even use cheese. Just omit it. If it's a problem food for you, just omit it. I don't want you having cheese. chocolate is okay, but I would only have that after sunset. You really don't want chocolate during the day. Cocoa is fine in your smoothie. Go ahead and add cocoa powder to your smoothie or some nibs. But I wouldn't eat a big candy bar for lunch. I just save that for dinner time. And try to avoid fat, try to avoid oils if you can. A little bit of oil is okay. But you don't want too much oil because you'll just have diarrhea, and you don't want diarrhea. So that's it. Actually, you might have loose bowels. You might, but it's just part of the purification process. You're getting all that garbage out of there, and you'll just be so amazed at how quickly you shed all pounds and all that debris that accumulates in the small and large intestines. It accumulates all year, and you want to get rid of it. So that's it. Have a great purification, everyone. If you're looking for a charity to donate to right now, I suggest donating to a charity that helps prevent genital mutilation and helps the victims of genital mutilation. And also that helps women and girls in general, helps them not to be kidnapped, to become brides, to become Muslim brides, or helps women to not have to wear burqas, helps women away from wearing burqas if they don't want to wear a burqa. Some sort of charity like that helps women. For saying that men and women are equal before God in the Muslim religion. It's amazing just how many Muslims there are that oppress women. Why is that? Why do they put women in burqas? Why do they genitally mutilate? Why do they kidnap Christian girls and sell them as brides? Why do they do these things to women? And of course, certain countries, they also have the hijab, or hijab. It's a hijab. The hijab, still saying that a woman's hair needs to be covered and that it's not permissible for a woman's head to be uncovered. It does hurt the vitamin D in the body. The woman doesn't get as much sun. She's not allowed to expose her limbs or her head. She isn't getting vitamin D as much as a man would. So keep that in mind. Just keep that in mind. Remember that women are hurting out there. They need your help. Remember that this purification, and it's girls. Girls are mostly the victims of genital mutilation. So do what you can for them. Donate to these charities to help the young women. And I'll see you next time.